Welcome to the Troy Talk Podcast, your home for anything and everything sports. Sit back, enjoy, and here's your host, Troy.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Troy Talk Podcast, your home for USC sports. I know we were all hurting after last week's tough loss, so I thought I would spice things up a bit with the bye week coming up with a little bit more lighthearted, fun video. Today we are going to be doing the Troy Talk USC Football Midseason Award Show, where I will be going through multiple categories with several nominations and give you my award winners. Before we hop in, I wanted to say thank you so much for the support on my last video. It was by far one of the most successful videos on the channel. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we are already nearing 400 subscribers. So if you're enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. All right, let's get it rolling. So before we jump into it, I wanted to kind of detail the offense and the defense and give my kind of midseason recap of both of those, and then we'll hop into the award show. So let's start with the offense. I mean, it's leading the country in a lot of metrics, a lot of the advanced analytics, expected play, win rate, all those things. It's doing everything and more. And I think if you were coming into the season, you were a little bit worried about the offense because we weren't sure what Jayden Maiava was going to do. And we know that Lincoln Riley's offense is highly predicated on a good quarterback running the show. But, we haven't been punting. Maiava, Makai Lemon, Waymon Jordan have been the three-headed monster that we all hoped to see out of the USC offense. And look, it almost kept us into the Illinois game and almost allowed us to win there. So really not a whole lot to be upset about. I think it exceeded even our expectations, which are usually high, being USC fans. Another thing to point out, the offensive line has exceeded expectations, in my opinion, dramatically. I mean, coming into the season, losing Emmanuel Pregnon, Elijah Page has actually been hurt for a little bit. We lost Killian O'Connor last game, and we weren't really sure. There wasn't a lot of veteran leadership, and if it was veteran leadership, it was in the form of the transfer portal. And look, we haven't even seen a whole lot of John Ray Reed, and DJ Wingfield was, announced ineligible before the season started. So, I'll be honest, I'll be straight up and say that I was worried about this unit, but you could argue it has been one of the more consistent units throughout the first 5 games or so. Tobias Raymond, big shout. We'll talk about him a little bit later. Is actually better than Emmanuel Pregnon per PFF standards. So he's doing a fantastic job, developing quite nicely, and our new offensive line coach, Zach Hansen, has done a terrific job. Another thing, the tight ends have improved dramatically. I mean, Lake McCree, we've seen glimpses of him, but we haven't really seen him healthy for a whole season. And he's taken even the next step that we didn't think was possible, becoming an actual true receiving threat in addition to his blocking. And the Walker Lions, we slowly but surely is just getting better every game and is going to be our tight end 1 next season and going to be a force to be reckoned with there. And then lastly, I mean, despite all these injuries, we are still doing so well. I mean, Jacoby Lane's been healthy for half the games this year. Brian Jackson, I think, was only healthy for the first game. We haven't seen him since. We lost Elijah Page last game, and yet it's still looking like a well-oiled machine. So next man up mentality is being implemented, and hopefully we see a little bit more of that the rest of the season because I don't know about the defense, and we'll talk about in a second if that's going to improve drastically or not. But if the offense keeps it being at an elite level, we have a chance to win every game. It's going to require perfection, that's a whole nother topic of discussion. It's done a great job so far. All right, so next, the defense. So, I mean, through the first 4 games, pass rush was dramatically improved. I mean, last year we could barely create pressure even with blitzing, and then the first 4 games we were doing so with 4-man rushes. So from a pass rushing perspective, although the competition was a little bit worse, we looked like we've turned a corner there. Cameron Crawford has looked even better than he did last year. Balin Shelby's looking a little bit better as well. Anthony Lucas has shown out. Unfortunately, we just have a little bit of sour taste in our mouths from last game when Illinois just completely dominated us on the line of scrimmage. So run defense has been abysmal. I think even some of the Purdue game, Michigan State game, the running numbers weren't that bad, but you could still see some of the holes. Maybe not so much in the Purdue game, but definitely Michigan State and definitely Georgia Southern. So we were definitely exploited in that Illinois game. And so I'll talk about it briefly, not to create too much of a tangent, but my thoughts on the defensive line play are that it's not so much necessarily a scheme issue or a player's issue. It's just that the players aren't fitting the scheme or aren't doing what the scheme is asking them. I don't think that it's necessarily like we need to change the scheme dramatically or we need to even change players dramatically. It's just, for instance, D'Anton Lynn's defense requires, usually a nose tackle or a defensive tackle to kind of eat up space in the middle, create good run fits for the defense. And that would allow the linebackers to do their thing and plug gaps and make plays. And I really just don't feel like the inside of the line of scrimmage is doing that. It's not taking on blockers, taking on double teams, and just creating that quote unquote anchor where you just drop down, block the space, and let the linebackers like Eric Gentry and Desmond Stevens make plays. That's not absolving Desmond Stevens from, maybe not being as good as we thought he might be so far throughout the season. But look, if we have Jaw Jarrett, Keyshawn Silver, these transfers that are big dudes, the big dudes that we were all clamoring for, and they're still not acting like that true nose tackle. I mean, Keyshawn Silver is acting like a pass rusher, not even being successful at pass rushing. And Jaw Jarrett really hasn't had a whole lot of snaps, although he seems a little bit more willing, I think, to be that nose tackle where he just eats up space. Same thing with Devin Tompkins. I know he's a good pass rusher. He's athletic, but he's got to learn to eat up space as well so that, one, the linebackers can, get to the line of scrimmage freely without getting like blocked by their own guy, essentially. And it also frees up the edge rushers to get to the quarterback. So I think it just needs to be more of a mentality shift, and D'Anton Lynn has a whole bye week to get behind that. But we can talk about that in the preview podcast next week a little bit more. Okay, secondary has been a roller coaster. I know the defensive backs have been very, very bad, and you all don't need me to say it more than it is. I mean, we're definitely struggling. Personnel's lacking. I'm not sure if it's so much scheme, but just we're not making the plays we need to be, and a lot of blown coverages, so on and so forth. The safety position, I don't think has been that bad. Actually, it's been fine, if not good. Bishop Fitzgerald has been really good this year. Kamari Ramsey, while playing completely out of position, is playing pretty solid. And then obviously Christian Pierce, newly minted Christian Pierce, the starter, has, I think, been one of the more improved players, which we'll talk a little bit about later. So I guess to just end it, a lot of injuries. I mean, Alex Graham at nickel, hopefully he's back for the Michigan game. I'm not sure that's the, solution to our problems, but I'm very excited to see him. And then obviously the food poisoning last game was very tough. So having to overcome injuries there. And then is Lynn the answer? I think he is. I think he's fine. He's knows his stuff. He's obviously smart. I'm hoping that he swallows his pride a little bit and adjusts and, lays into the players and tells them what they need to do and that they listen to him. But, can he do it? I think he can. Will it happen? I guess it remains to be seen. Okay, so let's hop into the awards, what this show's about. And before I get started, if you guys agree, disagree, let me know who your winners are. I'm going to give nominations for each category in the comments below. If you agree, let me know. If not, awesome too. Just want to hear you guys chop it up in the comments. So we're going to start off with Troy Talk's favorite recruit. So this is not necessarily the USC football team this year, but, with recruiting being a little bit more quiet since it's all pretty much done in the summer, I thought we'd bring it back a little bit since that is one of my more favorite topics of USC football. So first nominee will be Mark Bowman, tight end recruit out of Mater Dei, California. A little bit slow start to the season, but has turned it on late. One of, just the more talented offensive players, just pound for pound, basically a receiver in a tight end's body. I think he's going to be, playing just as many minutes, if not more, than Walker Lyons next year. So very excited to see him. Next is Jamion Winfield, one of the quickest defensive tackles that I think you'll ever see. It will allow USC to, have that interior pass rush a little bit more. I don't think he's a nose tackle. I think he's more of a 3 technique that'll rush the quarterback, kind of like a Jahkeem Stewart, but super talented. His film's awesome. Doing really well this year as well. And then we have Elbert Rock Hill. He's a cornerback from Ohio. Correct me if I'm wrong. All-around athlete, returns kicks. I think plays a little receiver. Great, free safety type cornerback, but also can play press coverage, does it all. I think USC, especially with our secondary issues, is going to be really excited to see him next year. And I think he'll get early playing time. Next, we have Luke Wafel out of, I think it's New Jersey or Connecticut, one of those two on the East Coast. Just an absolute beast. Film looks like an adult playing against kids. Kind of just reminds me of kind of like a Brian Cushing-like player where it's just, there's no way that kid is 17, 18 years old. And then lastly, now remember, these aren't necessarily the best recruits or the highest rated recruits, but my favorite recruits personally. And my last one's going to be Madden Reardon. Maybe it's because, growing up, I wasn't the biggest person ever when playing sports. So I appreciate when someone's a little bit smaller, able to make an impact. And that's just him. I mean, he's arguably the most effective cornerback in California as far as, stats wise. I'm not sure how many interceptions he has this year, but last year was something crazy, especially playing for Sierra Canyon. It's not like they're playing. He's had a good year this year. I'm excited to see him. I think he's more likely a nickelback at USC, and something that, maybe Alex Graham takes that position in the future. Maybe we move Alex Graham to the corner position and we let Madden Reardon, D. Reddick play the nickelback. Very excited to see him. So my winner will be, and this might surprise a couple people, but I'm going to say Elbert Rock Hill. And it's not because our secondary has been so bad this year, but his film just stands out to me. He's got so much confidence, so much swagger. And I think he could be, along with, RJ Sermon's, that future lockdown cornerback that USC has really not had it. I mean, honestly, probably since Biggie Marshall, if we're being honest. So something we desperately need, and one of my favorite players. Go check out his film. All right, next we have the Sports Center top play for this first 5 games that we've had. First nominee is going to be the thick six from Jaw Jarrett. Awesome pick six from the big guy. Next, we have Tanuk Hines reception. I believe it was against Michigan State or Purdue. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but went up, got it above his defender. Great play there. Next will be my Eli Sanders screen pass where he was looking like Anthony Davis running up the sidelines. And then last is going to be just basically any Jahkeem Stewart run defense play against Michigan State where he was just knifing through the line faster than anybody I think we've seen maybe since Big Cat Leonard Williams. So I think this one's going to be probably pretty obvious, but the SportsCenter top play winner goes to the thick six from Jaw Jarrett. So congratulations to the big guy. We don't get to see it very often. I can't remember the last time I've seen it. Maybe like Jarrell Casey or somebody did it back in the day, but it's been a while. Really cool to see. I was yelling at my TV. Okay, next, best position group. So this one's kind of narrow because I don't really think anybody on the defense deserves to be in this category. So it's just going to be offensive nominees. The first nominee is the wide receiver group. This one might be a little weird as Jacoby Lane's kind of started off slow, but Makai Lemon has exceeded expectations even from me. He's dominated, looks like one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver in the nation. And Tanuk Hines, I think, stepped up, surprised a lot of people with the amount of playing time. Jaden Richardson has looked good in limited snaps. So just, some people that I wasn't expecting to look so good early on have impressed me, and then Makai Lemon takes it over the top. Next nominee is going to be the running backs. I think I was a little bit worried about the depth behind Waymon Jordan coming in. I was very high on Waymon Jordan, but Eli Sanders has been great, looked exactly like what we wanted him to be with that kind of game-breaking speed demon out of the backfield, especially on the screen passes. I've loved the screen passes so far this season. And then King Miller. I mean, shout out to King Miller. I don't even think many of us thought he was going to get playing time this year. And, for a walk-on to be as good as he's been, it's been awesome. And this is all without Brian Jackson as well. Very talented group, has actually turned into one of our strengths. And then lastly, the offensive line group. Again, I talked about it briefly before, just really losing a lot of people last year. Jonah Monheim, losing Emmanuel Pregnon. Those were big losses, big veteran losses. And Tobias Raymond, Elijah Page, everybody stepped up. Killian O'Connor's done his best, even with the injury. Alani Noah, I thought, shown improvement. Micah Banuelos has had good playing time. Justin Tanu, all of them have had their flashes this year, and I think we're only growing, and it's going to be even better next year. So the winner for best position group so far this year, and I didn't include quarterback. I will preface that because I think that's an easy one to say Jayden Maiava would win, but I'm going to go with offensive line just because of how much better they are currently than I thought they'd be, and I thought it would be one of the weaknesses of our team, and it's actually one of our strengths. So I'm going to give them the win for this award. Next is most valuable coach. And this one might create a little bit of controversy too, because my first nominee is actually going to be Lincoln Riley because he's, the pseudo quarterback coach, offensive coordinator. And I think the fact that our offense has been so much better than it was last year, at least towards the end of the year, and Jayden Maiava has taken strides, he needs to be commended for that. Next is going to be Zach Hansen, who is the coach for the aforementioned offensive line, taking over for Josh Henson and done a really good job there. And then after that's going to be Chad Savage. I think the tight end group has been very, very good this year and exceeded expectations. I keep saying that, but there's been a lot of people exceeding expectations and a lot of people doing the opposite. So expectations are a big thing with, especially as USC football fans. So I'll try not to say it as much as we go throughout this award show. But great recruiter too, one of the more valuable coaches on the staff. And then Eric Henderson with the pass rush, I wanted to give him a shout out. That improved pass rush is definitely attributed to him. Hopefully we just see a little bit better defensive line play against the run. So my winner is going to be Zach Hansen. If you didn't tell, I've definitely have a little bit of a man crush on this offensive line. Very proud. And I think the reason our offense is so good is because our offensive line is protecting Jayden Maiava and creating lanes for Waymon Jordan and Eli Sanders to run free. Zach Hansen's winning that award for me. Next is most improved player. So this one has 5 nominees because there are actually a lot here. A lot of people I think stepped up this year that I wasn't expecting. The first one's going to be Tobias Raymond. Mentioned that he's actually the best guard on the West Coast, I think, by PFF, and actually better than Emmanuel Pregnon. So great development there. And he's from Ventura, so I wanted to give him a shout out from being from Ventura. Next is going to be Christian Pierce, the safety that maybe we were expecting Kamari Ramsey to play safety, but with him having to go in the nickelback, Christian Pierce has had to step up, and I thought he's looked very solid and taken that role. I mean, he's waited his turn. I think a lot of us have been very excited about him. And he's taken it in stride, and I think he's probably going to start next year alongside, who knows, maybe Marquise Gallegos or a transfer safety. Next, we have Lake McCree. I think we've seen the glimpses, as I mentioned before, but he's, that next step as far as most improved is going to be that consistency that he's shown and the true receiving threat. Really good hands this year, tough as nails, good blocker, great leader, just an overall valuable piece for this team, and I'm very glad he stayed. Next is going to be King Miller. I mean, a walk-on running back, hasn't got a whole lot of snaps, but when he's got the snaps, he's looked great. A couple big touchdown runs, and just awesome to see. I mean, I can't imagine how much better he is from last year, probably just playing scout team, to actually getting snaps this year, even ahead of Harry Dalton and other people like that. Shows you that Lincoln Riley thinks he's a very good football player, and wouldn't be surprised. I would love for him to stay, but wouldn't be surprised if he takes his talent somewhere else to where he gets a starting role and more snaps, because he deserves them. And then lastly, Jayden Maiava. I think everybody probably expected this one to be on the list. Just looking like a Heisman type quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten, if not the whole country right now, stats wise. Just looks the part, really not making that many mistakes other than the Illinois game. The touch on his throws has improved, the composure, the leadership abilities have all improved. So just a great job him stepping up this year, because we're going to need him to succeed and be at this level if we're going to have a successful year. So my winner for this most improved award is going to none other than Jayden Maiava. You guessed it. So shout out to Jayden Maiava there. Next is the most underrated player. So this one was kind of tough because most improved kind of overlaps a little bit, but I put Tobias Raymond on here. Again, most underrated. Maybe most people that aren't USC fans don't really know who he is, but he is one of the better offensive linemen on the West Coast, and I think he's going to be a future All-American, if not All-Conference. Eli Sanders was another one I wanted to talk about. I know those who know ball and those who know USC football are familiar with him. We watch the games every week, but coming out of New Mexico, low Division I type talent that he's playing against, we were like, how's that going to translate to the next level? And it's seamless. He's a great thunder and lightning combo with Waymon Jordan, and I think one of the better backup running backs in the entire country. Next is King Miller. Again, going to that running back room that I think is probably one of the more underrated groups on the West Coast and on USC. I mentioned before, the fact that he's playing snaps this year is a testament to his character, his hard work, and I think he's a great player. And then lastly, Jaden Walker. You probably put him under most improved as well, but I think we need to see more snaps out of him. He has looked the part every time he's been on the field. Really good hard hitter. Looks like he has a good nose for the ball, good instincts. And, if Desmond Stevens doesn't step it up, I think Jaden Walker is a very adequate, if not, better replacement. So my winner for this is going to be Tobias Raymond, though. I think he, like you said, he's probably the most underrated player on USC's whole team and one of the best linemen, if not better than Elijah Page this year. Next is going to be the most impressive freshman. There were a couple, I went 5 nominees here. The first one's going to be Hassan Longstreet. We haven't seen a whole lot of him. Obviously, he's the backup quarterback, but when he showed out, he's looked way more mature than I expected. Tough guy, runs hard, has a good arm, just really eager to get better. And he's the future of USC at the quarterback position. So the fact that he's looked this good this early is very exciting from a USC fan perspective. Next is Jahkeem Stewart. I think many of you probably thought he'd be on this list. Run defense has been great. Pass defense actually hasn't been maybe as strong as I expected. But again, being a true freshman on the defensive line, it's very tough, especially with the limited snaps you're getting. But I think he's, making them count and showing the flashes that where we need him to be. Next is Kendarius Reddick. Want to give him a shout out. He really only played the last game against Illinois, but I thought he stepped up admirably at the nickelback position. And I think he could be a future contributor at that position. I think he has a nose for the football, very athletic, and someone that, at a position where he's asked to do so much, it seems like he has good football IQ and is capable of doing a lot of the things we would ask him to do. Next is Floyd Boucard. He had a couple really good games, one showing out where I think he had something like 6 or 7 pressures and like 15 snaps, which is crazy. Obviously needs to tone up the consistency, but he has all the potential in the world. And I think him and Jahkeem Stewart, along with, the defensive lineman coming in next year, we're gonna have a good defensive line in the upcoming years. I'm definitely not worried about that. And then lastly, Tanook Hines, I think starting was a little bit of a surprise. He's held his own, I think, had a touchdown pass. I think those screen passes, he needs to be a little bit quicker and a little bit more decisive. Done his job so far. Really tough nosed kid, likes to block. And I think he's only going to get better. So my most impressive freshman award is going to none other than Jahkeem Stewart. Big Thanos there in the middle. He's a future All-American, future superstar. Very lucky to have him. All right. Lastly, we're going to go for the MVPs of the defense and offense. MVP of the defense, we had Eric Gentry as my first nominee. What's to say about him? He's basically manning the linebackers by himself, trying to do so much for our defense. Was played a little bit sick last game, I think, and forced to fumble. Maybe hasn't been as good in coverage as I would have liked, but just overall knows for the football, taking on a leadership ability or leadership quality for this defense. And just a super fun player to watch. And we're very lucky to watch him in his last year for USC this year. Next is Cam Crawford. I think his pass rushing is just at a level that we haven't seen at USC in some time. And I think the sky's the limit for him. He's just got to get a little bit more consistent, maybe get a little bit better with the run defense as well. And then lastly, Bishop Fitzgerald, one of PFF's best safeties in the country, and transfer from NC State, was all conference there. And I was wondering, is he as good as advertised? And I think he's honestly even better. Has a nose for the football, had a couple of blown coverage, which, I think is associated probably with just the lack of cohesiveness with the other secondary, but really great player. And, along with Kamari Ramsey, hopefully we see him a little bit back at safety this year. I would love to see them next to each other doing their thing. So my winner for the MVP of the defense is going to Bishop Fitzgerald. And then lastly, MVP of the offense. Man, this was a tough one because I think you already know who's going to be in the top three for this. It's first one, Jayden Maiava. Talked about him before. Second one's Makai Lemon. What to say about Makai Lemon, man? Just gets better week in and week out. Just acts like he's a 6'4", 220-pound receiver, super fast, doesn't back down from anybody, makes the clutch catches, finds the soft spot in the zone. High IQ football player. NFL scouts are raving about him, and I think any team is going to be lucky to have him on their team next year. Bummer, because I wish we would have him for another year, because I haven't seen him with Jacoby Lane at full strength a whole lot other than the first two games. I would like a full season with both of them at full health, but I mean, he deserves it. He's going to be a great pro and very Amon-Ra-like. He just does his job, gets the business done, and does it well. And then lastly, Waymon Jordan. I mean, coming in from junior college and transitioning to the level that he's doing at this high Division I level, one of the better running backs just graded wise in PFF, and the eye test shows you he can do anything. He has the burst, he has the agility, he has the power. Needs to hold on the football a little bit more, but whether he stays or not, I have a feeling he's going to go. He's done his job this year, and our running back room looks very, very good because of him. Okay, so my winner for the MVP of the offense is going to be, and this was tough, I went back and forth with this one, but I'm going to go with the most important position on the field, Jayden Maiava. If I were to give co-winners, which I'm not going to because I'm not going to cop out, Makai Lemon probably deserves to be here as well. But just, I think it's more so because Makai Lemon, I kind of expected him to be a dog and be so good and be elite. But Jayden Maiava, I wasn't so sure that he was going to be that good. And he's just done everything and more. Every criticism that I had from last year, he's improved on. And just gotten better at what he's already good at too. He's still able to make any throw. The touch has gotten better. The arm strength's always been there. He's running a little bit more. The list goes on and on. He's one of the best quarterbacks, and he's playing himself into being drafted. I'm not sure how his style translates to the NFL. If he can show that he does well under pressure, I think that's going to impress scouts a little bit because he has all the other raw abilities like the arm talent and the size. But as you see with Caleb, right, he had to learn how to play within a system and play under pressure. And it's not easy to do, even if you have all the skill in the world. But I believe it. I think he'll get drafted this year if he keeps this up. And who knows? Even if he's a backup in the NFL, that's a great position, great job to have. So that's it. Let me know what you guys thought about the awards in the comments, who you guys thought I got right or wrong. I hope you enjoyed this kind of more lighthearted episode. I wanted to kind of just, do some eye bleach from this last week because I know a lot of people were really upset, whether it be Lincoln Riley's play calling or clock management or D'Anton Lynn's defense. It's just been a lot of negativity. And trust me, I get it. I have my criticisms as well. But ultimately, this is football, and we do love USC football. We are USC Trojans, and we love the game. So I want to give us something to kind of smile about and talk about that can kind of distract us from the last week. So anyways, hope you enjoyed. As far as planning Michigan game, probably do a preview podcast Wednesday or Thursday, and then we'll do a recap whenever the game ends probably. And if there's anything you guys want me to cover in the future podcast, let me know down below. If you have any questions, anything, whether it's scheme, whether it's what players should be there, what do you think about this? Happy to talk about it in the comments. Remember, if you want a sticker, you can shoot me an email at troytalk3@gmail.com. I'm thinking once we hit 500 subscribers, maybe we do like a shirt or a hat giveaway because we do have that merch lined up. That's my goal. 500 subscribers is always my goal coming into this season. At the end of the season, I wanted the 500 subscribers. And if we keep at this rate with the support that you guys are giving me, I think that goal is totally attainable. So once again, thank you so much for the support and allowing me to do this and make this happen. And I hope you guys have a good night, and we will see you again next time.